professional.
I've been thinking about what you have done to me. The damage is much deeper than you'll ever see. Hit me like a hammer to my head. I wonder were you pushed or were you led?
Beyonce is down, stunned at the plate.
Why did you do it? Why did you do that thing to me?
But I really can't say I have respect for him right now.
Today on Fox, crosstown rivals collide as the Sox and Cubs are at it again. This isn't just about bragging rights. It's a search for salvation. Redemption, the word of the day in the Big Apple, the side of this made-for-TV drama. And after 2 years, the wait is over. Is it really water under the bridge, or more like a bridge over troubled waters? Roger has crossed the Triborough to find out. So is the rocket set for liftoff or knocked down?
I don't know. I'm really not going to talk about it.
I don't know what to expect. I haven't talked to really anybody about it, but other than the media. So, I mean, I'm just looking forward to facing him.
Everybody's going to have an opinion on how it should have, you know, it should take place, you know, now. It should have been taking place back then. You know, somebody should do something in the first inning, and, you know, there is no right answer.
I don't think it dies down because it's great. It's a great media story. Let's just pitch, hit, throw, and keep it to that. You know, if we do that, then we can let this whole thing pass. And I'm sure Mike and Roger want to get past this thing and go on and play some solid ball.
Now, why would we want that? Welcome to the main event. No pay-per-view or ear-biting, we think. Jeannie's the last along with Kevin Kennedy. This is Fox Saturday Baseball, your game of the week. And it may be Father's Day weekend, but we have the mother of all showdowns at Shea today, Kevin. So let's just get right to it. Will there be an incident?
I think they're probably going to pitch inside on him, but ultimately it's not Sean Estes' fight. It's not Bobby Valentine's. It's not the Mets versus the Yankees. This is Piazza's call right here. Mike Piazza has to make this call if he feels Roger Clemens needs to get hit. Now, a year ago in the All-Star game, Piazza faced Roger Clemens. Roger stayed outside with 3 or 4 fastballs, didn't want to pitch inside at all. As far as Clemens is concerned, because I talked to him, it's over with. But if the Mets want to keep it going, it's Piazza's call if he wants to get it done.
Will Roger ever be able to shake this? I mean, obviously, if he's on your team, he's just pitching inside. But if you're facing him, he's a headhunter.
Look, 30, 40 years ago, Jeannie, Don Drysdale, Bob Gibson, guys like that, Willie Mays hit a home run off him. Yeah, Willie Mays knew he was going down. Today, guys will charge the mound. The big issue is Mike Piazza not only got hit, he got hit in the head. Was that intentional? I don't think any pitcher that I've ever known has tried to hit anybody in the head. But these two guys right here, Drysdale especially and Gibson, they were known to knock guys down, but it's a different era right now. The key also with the guys like Drysdale and Bob Gibson, they were National League guys. They had to bat. Both, by the way, were good hitters. Pedro Martinez was the same way in the National League with the Montreal Expos. He would hit a lot of guys. He hasn't changed his game since he's gone to Boston. He still hits a lot of guys. Ask Tampa Bay about that. Roger Clemens is the same way. American League guy, yes, but if he had to play in the National League and bat every 5 days, he would pitch the exact same way. He has no fear of anybody.
Clemens hiring a pitcher this week to help him with some BP, but maybe he should have hired Mitch Williams to help him eat dirt and stay in one piece. We want to know, what do you think? Log on to foxsports.com. Keywords MLB on Fox. should the Mets drill Roger Clemens when he comes up to bat? Yes or no, Kevin?
The key for me is, should they drill him? No, they shouldn't drill him. That was 2 years ago. Sean Estes wasn't even a New York Met 2 years ago. Will they drill him? Will they pitch inside? I think they'll come inside. I think they'll come close. Yeah.
All right, we will see. But on a Friday night, cooler heads prevailed because Mother Nature made it that way. The rain came down on Andy Pettitte, getting back to work after about a 2-month layoff. And it's the passed ball. Mo Vaughn comes around to score, and the Mets take the 2-0 lead. And then say it isn't happening again.
Oh, God. But see, there's a hit in the head right there by Hitchcock to Jeremy Burnett's. You think that was intentional? Absolutely not.
Yeah, Burnett's X-ray is negative, and then we've got a broken bat, too.
And that would tie the game. Derek Jeter, the Yankees come back. Best team in baseball in comebacks after the 7th inning, and it's not over yet.
Yeah, top 10, the former Met.
Now it is.
Oh, jeez.
Robin Ventura has been huge. What a great sign. Joe Torre told him that in spring training and thought Ventura was going to be big for him. Home run number 16 against his former team, the New York Mets.
The Yankees take the opener, and on the subject of headhunters, it's Pedro Martinez trying to bounce back from his first loss of the year in Atlanta. Takes care of Chipper Jones, bottom 6. Next batter, Andrew Jones. It's the old 1-6-3 inning over.
He's still throwing well, Judy, but not that same 97 fastball when he has to put people away. He goes
that
93.
Might have been the fastball.
93 right there, and Sheffield is too quick. Doesn't take him out of the yard, gets a sac fly for the win. A great at-bat by Gary Sheffield.
Back-to-back losses for Pedro. First time since losing 3 in a row, September of '98. This guy keeps going. We're with the Cubs and the White Sox, and that would be Mr. Sosa.
475. That ties him with number 19 on the all-time list, Willie Stargell.
More importantly, the Cubbies double up the White Sox. On the subject of numbers, this is going to be maybe win number 13 for Curt Schilling, or maybe not.
Watch this play right here. Jose Guillen's going to make the catch, crashes into the wall. The ball flips out. Nobody knows if it's caught or not. He thinks he's got the ball. Watch the anonymous bullpen member of the Tigers point right there. Mark Wegner sees it. The umpire says safe. Wendell McGee's at third base, says now I can go home. And he gets an inside the park home run.
Yeah, the Tigers take the 1-0 lead, and the Tigers go on to beat Curt Schilling and the Diamondbacks 6-3. No bears on. Roger is ready. And whether they play baseball or beanball today at Shea, the Mets really have bigger things to worry about, or should I say bigger bats, like the one Jason Giambi carries to the plate, Kevin.
Well, you know, Gene, there's always a tough adjustment period after you sign a huge contract, especially when you're going to the New York Yankees. And, you know, after a very tough April, he had 280. Tough for him, obviously. But Jason Giambi has finally arrived as a member of the Yankees. Embracing New York. How long has it taken for New York to embrace you and vice versa?
When I first came over here, you know, I started out a little slow. I think I was just putting a little too much pressure on myself subconsciously. You know, I had a big contract, wanted to do well, and so I think I was just trying to do maybe a little too much. I never got more standing O's in my career, but at the same time, I never got booed as much as I got in my career either. So it was an even trade-off.
What did Roger tell you? Because I know Clemens kind of went through that his first year here.
You know, he kept saying, don't worry about it. Your game's going to be there. Just the sooner you relax and just, you know, have fun, get your routine back, your game's going to come around because you're too good a player.
The pitch. Swung on it. Hit in the air to deep right center. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a grand slam. Jason Giambi.
I think that one grand slam home run, that's the reason why they had got me, that big hit. That's probably the moment where my season really started to turn, because after that, you know, the home runs started coming, the hits, the average started climbing.
I want to get into your community involvement, because I know you're involved in the Twin Towers Fund. Was that something that you really wanted to be involved in, and how did it all come about?
Yeah, you know, actually, the mayor, Giuliani, approached me with it.
Okay.
When he was in office, saying when I first signed over here, he was going to put something together. And, you know, this city had really taken me in when I first signed here. And I felt like this was my chance to give back, you know, for the firemen and the policemen, their kids, you know, to help, you know, make their dreams come true also, because my dreams are coming true right now, putting these pinstripes on.
Whip up. It's not 7, but it's pinstripes.
My dad was a huge Mickey Mantle fan when he was a kid. You know, Mickey was our favorite player, so we'd always wear number 7. Well, of course, number 7, when I got over here, you know, that's kind of tough. That's kind of tough to kind of go get that one. And then 16 was Whitey. And Whitey had actually approached me and said, you can wear my number. I don't care.
He did?
Yeah, he did. He said, I don't, and I said I couldn't do that. So I ended up with 25. because the 2 and the 5 added to 7, but also it had a little bit double meaning because McCarver was number 25, and he took me under his wing when I first got to the big leagues.
What are you most proud of? Your batting average going up each year, the last 6 years, or your strikeouts being cut down, or
I think
slugging percentage?
Yeah, the slugging percentage with the batting average. You know, because I figured you were more productive for your ball club if you could kind of do it all. You could hit for a high average, have a high on-base percentage, drive in just as many runs as a guy who hits a lot of home runs.
Can you compare or contrast Bay Area baseball versus what's going on here?
Oh, it's a whole different animal out here. There's no doubt about it. East Coast baseball. I mean, from a player's point, it's a playoff atmosphere out there every single night. I think actually some of these fans go home if we don't win, they don't sleep.
You did the thing on Letterman. What was the thing about Oakland?
There was like top 10 things why I wanted to come to New York, and one of them was to, like, you know, poke fun at Oakland, saying, well, have you ever been to Oakland?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you know, I mean, well, and everybody took that so personal. I loved Oakland. I grew up there. I mean, I almost had an opportunity to stay there, you know. I mean, there were just a few things fell short, but, you know, I mean, the player that I've become was because of Oakland, so it was never personal.
Now, one thing Mark McGwire told Jason Giambi is learn to take your walks, and what that does, that creates big-time on-base percentage, number 2 since 1999, and batting average up 328. You go that 1 for 3 with a walk, you get a chance to do a lot of damage. Not up there in the home runs, but he's more interested in producing runs, either being on base or driving the ball or hitting a gap somewhere.
Yeah, he certainly lived up to the hype. Can the same be said for the Piazza Clemens showdown? Now, that remains to be seen. But unlike New York, the Windy City Series has enjoyed the distraction this week. You know, that home run trot heard around Chicago has resurfaced just in time to shift the focus off the fact a bad wind has blown into town.
The arm pump looked strikingly familiar. The point was made directly at Cubs fans as he rounded the bases. But the final straw, the trademark, the Sosa two-finger tap, insulting. While Jose Valentin still insists he did trot to tease, both clubs have done enough taunting already this season. Big budget free agents and highly touted prospects had some believing the impossible. The All-Chicago World Series? Well, there was one back in 1906, the year the Cubbies steamrolled their way to a Major League best 116 wins, but still managed to lose to a White Sox team that sported a league-low 230 batting average and was dubbed the Hitless Wonders. Ironically, the same title could apply lately to the Sox. You have to wonder how a lineup featuring Magli Ordonez and Frank Thomas could be virtually hitless, batting .258 in June. And if you have the belief that one more big bat would make the difference, remember, they traded him away to the Cubs. But even Sosa can only guarantee so-so results. The Cubs also have a lineup that reads like an all-star roster. And still, the North Siders have the worst team batting average in baseball. And no hitting equals no run support. Blame injury, blame lack of enthusiasm. Sammy's boys are among the worst in the majors, tied for 25th. The Sox have managed the second-best pitching in the AL since the start of June, with little to show for it. It's all in the timing, as in lack of timely hitting. They're 1-5 in one-run games. One thing's for sure, the clock is ticking on the 2002 season and the tenure of some players and maybe a manager or two. For now, the Sox and Cubs share more than a city in common. Seems they've both fallen and they can't get up.
Don Baylor's been sitting on the hot seat for weeks. The Cubs have not had back-to-back winning seasons, Kevin, in 30 years.
But they do have one future Hall of Famer, Sammy Sosa, 475. You got to pay to go see Sammy Sosa. Next up, Lou Gehrig at 493. Sammy is tied with Musial and Willie Stargell for number 19 all-time.
Come for Sammy, stay for the game. By the way, as you log on to FoxSports.com, very violent morning. Should Clemens be beamed? 3-1. FoxSports.com keywords MLB on Fox will keep you posted during the game. Still ahead on Fox. You can try, but there's no replacing Sammy. He's the one that got away, and Sosa hopes to drive that point home again today at Wrigley. And who knew a simple Saturday stroll across the Triborough would create such a stir? Roger Clemens is on the mound at Shea, and he's brought his bat with him. Can we all just get along? We'll find out shortly. Fox Network Center. It is the question Mets fans have been asking for 2 years. Will Roger be as bold with a bat in his hands? The answer is coming shortly. It's the Subway Series, part of interleague play, next on Fox.
Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball.
Here we are in Queens. Here we are for a Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week. The New York Yankees and the New York Mets. Yes, it's interleague play, and yes, right now it feels like we're waiting for the start of a steel cage match here at Shea Stadium. I'm Joe Buck along with Tim McCarver. A lot's been said about the history between Mike Piazza and Roger Clemens. Here we go. What do you expect to see? First of all, what's gone into all the expectations here this afternoon?
Well, it says, Joe, that you've heard the expression, time heals all wounds. That may be true, but one thing that is true is that time obscures some facts. What are the facts? Well, as we've heard and remembered ad nauseum, 2 years ago on July 8th, Roger Clemens hit Mike Piazza in the head trying to brush him back. Then in the second game of the World Series, he threw the jagged edge of the bat at him. There are those in the Yankee camp that think that both of those actions and both of the things that happen are the same thing. Well, they're not. And the fact, in my view, the fact that Clemens did not come back to apologize to Piazza and the Mets after Game 2 is the reason that this story has been perpetuated.
He made a call. Piazza didn't answer the call, but he could have come out publicly and said it was a mistake. I acted. I wasn't right what I did with a thrown bat.
Right.
Let me ask you this then. That leads us to the question. Do you think Roger Clemens will end up being hit by a pitch from Sean Estes?
After all is said and done, no. I think it's too much to ask of a young left-hander, 2-5 on the year, a guy who's struggling coming to a new team to hit Roger Clemens today. What do you think?
I disagree. I think there's only one scenario where everybody wins, and that is Sean Estes for the Mets drills Roger Clemens, and Roger Clemens sets the bat down and trots down to first base, and it's over. It's a shame to say it, but a team that's getting $102 million as a group to play baseball needs something to light a fire. The Mets are flopping around, floundering. They cannot go into this game with as much anticipation of this confrontation as we have had and whimper out and not hit Roger Clemens.
What you just said sounds like a peace plan.
Well, that's our thoughts. We'll have more to come. The New York Mets, Mike Piazza. A lot of frustration has been building up. They take on the Rocket, Roger Clemens and the New York Yankees. A Subway Series with many undertones. We're ready for baseball next at Shea.
Saturday Baseball is brought to you by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball. By new Lotrim Ultra, the only once-a-day cure for athlete's foot. By Pepsi Cola, experience the joy of Pepsi. And by your neighborhood 7-Eleven store. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
It is a mid-June day here in New York, but it is chilly. That baseball would sting on a day like this.
Yeah.
Sean Estes getting ready to take on the New York Yankees, and their lineup is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. The Yankees will lead it off with Alfonso Soriano, then Derek Jeter. Jason Giambi hitting third, and he has really picked it up. Bernie Williams cleans up. Jorge Posada batting fifth. Rondell White is in left batting sixth. Then at the bottom of the order, Ron Coomer takes the place of one of the heroes last night, Robin Ventura. He's at third. Shane Spencer in right. And Roger Clemens pitching and batting ninth. And here is Sean Estes, the left-hander, the former San Francisco Giant.
As we said in the opening, 2-5, off to a sluggish start with his new team. Coming to the Mets for Charlie Relaford and Tsuyoshi Shinjo. His scouting report, a big curveball, that double duty on the running game, because Mike Piazza has thrown out only 2 of 51 runners. Extraordinary. So Estes, if he does allow a man on first base, double duty today, and trying to regain that velocity that he had that took him to a 19-5 record in 1997 and an all-star game appearance with the Giants.
I want to know who's playing defensively for the Mets. It has been an atrocious start defensively to the season for the Mets. They should be better than this. And we highlight Roberto Alomar, a 10-time Gold Glove Award winner. But here's a group that has committed 60 errors, the most in the major leagues, and it's hard to believe. Even their shortstop, Ray Ordonez, has committed 12. Here's Soriano. And there's first pitch swinging and a pop-up to the right side. Foul ball, Big Mo gone. It wasn't pretty, but he made the catch, 1 out. I don't know if we can run the replay of that in slow motion. It'd be redundant.
Mo didn't look like he saw the ball initially. And then when he did, he had to backpedal to make the play. Back, and made the play.
Nothing to it. 1 out. Here's Derek Jeter, who's 2 out, hit in the 9th inning. Sent the game to the 10th. Game 1 of the 3-game series last night. One of the longest games that I've ever had to watch. Back in the hotel room, over 4 hours, and Jeter tied it in the 9th, and Ventura won it in the 10th with a 2-run home run off Komiyama. Another blown save and a big opportunity for Armando Benitez. And there's Robin Ventura, one of the 2 corner infielders that the Mets got rid of from a year ago. And both are productive for their new team. Todd Zeile with Colorado, and Robin Ventura with the crosstown Yankees. As always, the broadcast available in Espanol, utilizing your SAP button on your television. Jeter with 1 out, nobody on, and a count of 1 ball, 1 strike. What'd you wake up thinking about today, Tim? Don't be silly. What'd you wake up thinking about this game as you entered the park?
Roger Clemens at bat. I thought about it yesterday, this morning. I thought about it on Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. I've been thinking about it for 2 weeks. I've never gone to a game, ever, thinking about a pitcher's at bat.
Here's a 1-2. And it'll stay that way on Derek Jeter. And when you talk to Joe Torre, and rightly so, he's tired of the questions. He's tired of how the different media outlets have pumped this thing up. But it is a situation that if you're a part of the media, you can't ignore.
Of course not.
Whether it's us coming in on a Saturday afternoon or your local columnist writing about it in one of the tabloids. Jeter strikes out, 2 gone.
Only 2 hitters, and 2 hitters do not a pitcher make. But Sean Estes showing the velocity that he showed in that huge year he had for the Giants back in '97. That is a good high fastball from Estes.
Here's Jason Giambi. So Sean Estes, who's lived the good life out in Northern California, and then his first year with the New York Mets gets thrown right into the middle of a mess.
Right in the cauldron.
He had a 20% chance of something like this happening when he came to the Mets, and old number 55 came up on the roulette wheel. 55 blue. Strike 1 on Giambi. In today's game, we're participating in the Cap Cure Home Run Challenge. Every home run raises $27,000 from your pledge for prostate cancer research. If you would like to make a pledge, call 1-800-547-CURE. So far, over $1.7 million raised for prostate cancer research. 547-CURE. Here's a 1-1. Big swing. Strike 2. Could be a quick and easy first inning for Sean Estes. As Tim mentioned, coming in with a record of 2-5. And part of an overachieving New York Mets starting rotation. Knees buckled a bit. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Most of the dinero that was put by Steve Phillips and the ownership group of Nelson Doubleday and Fred Wilpon was into the offense of the Mets, not the pitchers. But it has been the pitchers who have excelled.
The 2-2 to Giambi. And I'm sure we'll get into it more as this game wears on. And we see guys like Mo Vaughn at the plate, Jeremy Burnitz, and Roger Cedeno. But not only is this team underachieving right now, and at times dreadful to watch for the New York Mets, but it doesn't seem to have the opportunity to get much better in a short amount of time. They are locked into some long-term deals at some high dollars, and they're going to have to take a big bite if they're going to get rid of some of these guys, change up, and get into the free agent market for a guy like Scott Rowland or somebody else in the offseason. Here's a 3-2 to Giambi. Good start for Sean Estes. Yankees go in order. Soriano, Jeter, Giambi. Roger Clemens heads to work. Here it's Shea. No score. 0-2 lifetime at Shea Stadium is Roger Clemens, and on this cool afternoon, he takes on this lineup for the Mets, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Timo Perez will lead off in center field. Then it's Alfonso. Roberto Alomar hitting third, not off to a good start. Mike Piazza has hit 12 home runs. He cleans up. Then Mo Vaughn, Jeremy Burnett, Roger Cedeno in left, Ray Ordonez the shortstop, and Sean Estes is pitching and batting ninth. You look at the numbers for Piazza against Clemens, and now we'll show you the numbers for Clemens on the season, and I know we'll run through graphics here, but it's not like when Clemens hit Piazza in the front of his helmet back on July 8th of 2000, it happened in a vacuum.
No.
He had taken Piazza out twice right before that, including earlier in that season, and that's why people were wondering if Clemens would be the intimidator and if he would try to drive Piazza off the plate, and he drilled him in the front of the helmet.
Yeah, it's an interesting scouting report. Intimidator? Well, it's one of the reasons we're here.
Here's Perez leading it off with Alfonso and Alomar to follow. And a strike from Roger Clemens. Here's one of the worst statements you can make about the New York Mets. Timo Perez has been their best hitter over the past 3 weeks. Hitting .331. And it's 0-2. How does this affect, Tim, what Clemens does coming into the game? Because nobody talks about where Clemens' head is when he's on the mound. All they want to talk about is him at the plate.
That's a very interesting point, because if you're the New York Met hitters, there is no way, unless he's thrown out, but there is no way Clemens is going to come inside to anybody, because if he comes inside to a Mets hitter in the first 3 innings, then that gives Estes a reason to drill him his first time up. So if you're a Mets hitter, forget the inside part of the plate. Dive out over the plate, bring the outside pitch to you.
Not much of a swing by Perez, and a nice hand from a lot of the Yankee fans that are in attendance here this afternoon at Shea. Defensively, the Yankees haven't been too swift either. 49 errors, 12th in the American League in fielding percentage. Jeter has started all 68 games at short this season, and a little different cast and crew than you may be used to, including guys like Rondell White and Ron Coomer. Shane Spencer is back in the lineup. He's out in right field with 1 out, nobody on. Alfonso chases one, strike 1. The average is good, the production is not. He's had a bruise on his left hand, but according to the Mets, he injured early. Didn't say much about it, but that it is just starting to round back into shape. Only 18 RBIs for a guy who once drove in over 100. And speaking of 100 or near 100, Clemens is just bringing it.
I mean, he is throwing hard. Saw in the scouting report that enduring velocity, not only does he throw hard early, but it lasts into the middle and latter part of the games.
Defensive swing by Alfonso, 95 miles per hour, and it's still 0-2. Last year, bothered by a bad back, Alfonso hit 17 home runs, hit only .243. One and two.
That was the splitter that Clemens throws as hard as a lot of fastballs thrown in the major leagues. There's the grip one more time. That tumbling, heavy action. He missed with it, but often you want to miss with that pitch.
1 and 2.
You rarely see a hitter called out on a split finger fastball.
Either I'm nuts and I'm hearing stuff, or our mics are just super sensitive, or I can hear the ball spinning to the plate from Roger Clemens.
You can do that sometimes. You can hear splitters split. You can hear curveballs ripping at seam. Here's another splitter.
On 1 and 2. And that's well out of play and off the luxury suite level here at Shea.
I think what you may be hearing is Roger Clemens grunting.
Hissing.
Hissing. That was it.
Still 1-2 on Alfonso, who bats in front of Roberto Alomar. Happy to be back in the number 3 spot. Perez struck out. Alfonso got a piece to stay alive. Hot dogs, $11. That would be the most surprising part of that banner. Here's the 1-2.
I think it is Clemens grunting. You could hear that. One more time.
With 1 out, nobody on, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Alfonso. Pretty good bat by Edgardo.
Oh. That's how hard Clemens is throwing. That ball, when it hit Posada's glove, watch how it takes it back.
You know, nobody's talked about Clemens pitching in this game.
No, no.
And he is jacked up and ready to go. And it's still 2-2 on Alfonso. Roger Clemens has won 7 straight decisions. And ironically, it was at about that time in the 2000 season when Clemens came off the DL. Shortly thereafter, he hit Piazza. And since then, he's been the most consistent pitcher the Yankees have had. Back-to-back strikeouts. There was one of the 2 home runs hit by Piazza in 2000. This was the first, July 9 of 1999. And then prior to the beaning in the early part of July, June 9th of 2000, Piazza took him out for a grand slam at Yankee Stadium. And then the next meeting between the 2 teams, Piazza got one off the helmet. Now with 2 out, nobody on, Roberto Alomar hits a 2-hopper to Soriano. And each side goes in order in the first. We go to the second. No score at Shea. Back after this from your local Fox station. Estes back to the hill, got off to a good start. Soriano fouled out. Strikeouts of both Jeter and Giambi, and now it's the heart of the order for the Yankees. Williams, Posada, and Rondell White against Estes. Sean coming off an 8-3 loss in Cleveland. He only lasted 5 innings. Bernie Williams has dropped out of the top 10 in the American League in hitting, down to 308. Still a remarkable average considering the start he had. Bothered by both shoulders, getting cortisone injections, and he has been back to the typical Bernie Williams as he takes a strike from Estes, who's showing 89 miles an hour on his fastball compared to 95, 96 from Roger Clemens. Well hit into left field. Back is Cedeno at the wall. Can't make the catch, and Williams will end up at second base. Got there, couldn't pull it in, and Cedeno, who's not a good outfielder, could not make the catch.
Maybe this ball, I don't think you could say it should have been caught, but it certainly could have been caught. A lot of left fielders get to this ball because it didn't have a lot of hang time, however. It was off the end of the glove of Cedeno. And then he crashed into the wall. So a double for Bernie Williams, the first base runner of the day.
Now it's Jorge Posada. The Yankees start the day 43-24, a half game out behind the Red Sox, who lost last night, as they showed you on our pregame show, 2-1 in Atlanta. Weekly hit into right. Long run for Burnett. Good play, 1 out, and Posada does not advance the runner. One thing that has not been apparent for Burnett is him taking his offensive struggles out into the outfield. He's made some very good plays in right for the Mets.
And to their, and we have some sound bites from both Burnett's and Mo Vaughn, but particularly Mo Vaughn. Talk about guys who have handled adversity like men, both Burnett and Vaughn. And this is a tough time to do that, to say, hey, I have been awful. And both of them will tell you that.
Runner at second, one out. Here's Rondell White, and there's another pop-up right side. It's headed out of play, strike one. Rondell White has been bothered by a tendon, middle finger in his left hand, and he has taken a seat over the past week, but back in action, making his first start. Last night came off the bench. And in his career against the Mets, longtime Montreal Expo, hitting .342. 0-2. Ron Coomer on deck.
Both pitchers razor sharp in the early going.
Just a little low. Good pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Breaking ball. And it was low. With 1 out, a good time to steal third base with all the problems Piazza has had behind the plate. Throwing with 2 outs or none out, no. With 1 out, you ought to take a chance.
There he goes. The throw, terrible. Another stolen base against Mike Piazza, and it's a runner at third, only 1 out. I have heard some people say that you steal third base off the pitcher, not the catcher. But in this instance, with how bad Mike Piazza has been, forget the pitcher, you're stealing off Piazza.
Yeah, you may get a little extra jump against the pitcher, but you are stealing the base on a man who has thrown out only 2 out of 52.
Infield comes in, 2-2 pitch. Low again, full count.
Wretched numbers throwing from behind the plate.
4%. The worst in the major leagues since 1987. Runner at third, 1 out. Infield in. Big strikeout for Estes, 2 gone.
Good curveball with not only first base open, but second base open. So a place for Rondell White is on the bench, not the base.
So White's gone, and now it's Ron Coomer. And this crowd reacting from that rather important strikeout by Estes of Rondell White is about 50-50. Maybe not straight at 50-50, but there are a lot of Yankee fans here today. 91 miles an hour, and it misses up and away from Estes to Coomer. There are quite a few mixed in and not afraid to show that they're Yankee fans. With a runner at third, 2 out, Coomer. Ooh, that had a little zip on it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Had some pop. That ball resounding in the glove of Mike Piazza.
Runner at third, Coomer rips it foul. And that's about all he could do with that pitch in on his hand. Strike 2.
Yeah, if you put the good part of the bat on the ball that far inside, you've got to pull it foul.
Estes already has 3 strikeouts. And those in the crowd wearing the combined colors of the Giants and Dodgers for the Mets, one another. Just missed, 2-2. They are pretty much dead straight away for Coomer. Trying to put the Yankees on top. Got him on the outside corner. And Estes Off to a good start, 4 strikeouts, and he pitches around a leadoff double. Piazza will lead it off for the Mets in the second, no score.
Baseball is brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And by Paxo.
Mike Piazza leads off against Roger Clemens. Second inning, bottom half, no score. Strike 1 right down the middle. That'll play in right field for Spencer. And Piazza's retired. So Clemens takes care of Piazza to start the bottom of the second, and Mo Vaughn will dig his way in.
So far, for the most part, Roger Clemens has been playing catch me if you can to the Mets. Piazza way behind that fastball. With that in mind, the only ball that Mo Vaughn's going to turn on is a ball down in the strike zone. Oof.
Man, I don't know if it's just because this booth is so low and right behind the plate, or if Clemens has a little more going with him toward the plate today than we're used to seeing, at least the last couple of years. Longtime teammates with the Red Sox and very good friends, Mo Vaughn and Roger Clemens. And the count, 1 ball, 1 strike. This is one of the guys you mentioned, Mo Vaughn, who was very upfront and said, I have been terrible, and I've got to figure out a way to put my bat on the baseball and help this team win. 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out. Strike 2.
You notice Mo is a little farther away from the plate this afternoon than he was last night. Last night, he was hanging over the plate and was actually hit by a pitch that was almost a strike. Today, he looks like he's about 3 or 4 inches off the plate.
Vaughn chops it foul. It's the difference between Andy Pettit and Roger Clemens.
Yeah. Last night, Mo Vaughn was hit by a pitch from Andy Pettit. That was in that area. And his feet last night were about right there. But today, backed off a little more.
2 out.
Right fielder, number 20.
Here's Jeremy Burnett, who's hitting under 200. And it has been a team-wide slump as you look at the career average compared to what's gone on this season. And at the bottom of the list is Jeremy Burnett, who's hitting 195. It was through 2001 as a career average compared to this year. And Burnett gets a base hit to right.
That pitch was down in the strike zone. And if Clemens continues to throw this hard, the ball right in this area is going to be much better to handle. It doesn't take as quick a hands to hit a ball down as it does up. In order to hit a ball up crisply, you have to extend the bat head. As you saw Burnett's right there, all he did was simply drop the bat head on the ball. First hit for the Mets.
Here's Cedeno now, 1 on, 2 out. Low throw, and Burnett is back. Chris Chambliss, who was the hitting coach for Joe Torre when he first got to the Yankees in '96. Yankees are now on their 3rd hitting coach. They now have Rick Down, and Chris Chambliss was just hired this past week to take over for Dave Engel, who was fired. No word as to whether H.G. Wells was available to hop into the time machine as a hitting coach and go back and have these guys hit the way they did 3 years ago. So they went with Chambliss. And Burnett draws another throw.
It is so difficult for a team to change a hitting instructor or a pitching coach in midstream.
You see the revolving door of the hitting coaches since '99. Robson, Engel, now Chambliss. Runner at first, 2 out. Burnitz is running. Throw by Posada is high and safe. Burnitz gets his 4th of the year.
Now that base was stolen off of Roger Clemens. High throw by Posada, but Posada, in contrast to Mike Piazza, with a very strong throwing arm.
So now a hit by Cedeno could give the Mets the lead, and Cedeno is a .380 lifetime hitter against the Yankees. 1 ball, 1 strike. On deck, the light-hitting Ray Ordonez. Cedeno gets under it, and that's Rondell White. That'll do it. The undercard is over. Roger Clemens is due up second as we go to the 3rd. Back after this from your local Fox station. No score as we move into the top of the 3rd inning. Shane Spencer leads it off. Takes a ball from Estes. We would like to welcome those of you watching the White Sox and the Cubs at Wrigley. We are in the 3rd inning, top half. No score. Each side has a hit. Shane Spencer, the number 8 hitter at the plate. Roger Clemens is on deck. Here's a 1-1 to Spencer on the inside corner. You know, depending on what Spencer does, it may or may not allow Estes the opportunity to drill Roger Clemens.
Spencer has a good day.
Hard hit. What a play by Alfonso. 1 out, and the Met fans know that the bases are clear with Clemens coming up.
Pitcher, number 22, Roger Clemens.
To reiterate what we said at the top of the day, you and I differ. I think the Mets have to hit and drill Roger Clemens. Threw right at him. He missed him. Now they get the warnings, and Estes is upset because he missed Clemens. Now he can't throw at him and try to hit him, because if he does, he's kicked out of the game.
You were dead on, partner. The ball was thrown behind Clemens.
Piazza just with his head hanging behind the plate.
So now if Clemens is hit, it's behind him. Now if Clemens is hit, Estes is out of the ball game.
You talk about a season where nothing's going right. You get your one opportunity to get Roger Clemens if you're the Mets, and there are 15 reasons why, in my mind, they have to hit Roger Clemens.
You were right on, partner.
Estes makes no disguise of the fact that he's trying to hit Clemens, and he misses him. Two balls and a strike on Clemens.
Here's a guy in Sean Estes who can hit a corner of a 17-inch plate, but can't hit a 240-pound man.
Clemens, not a bad swing to count 2-2, and all of the buildup leads to Clemens basically inching his way closer to the plate as the ball dives behind his legs. He missed him altogether, and the Mets are thinking, what else can go wrong? They had their one chance, and Estes missed him. 3 balls, 2 strikes. He's hit 2 batters in 12 starts this season, averaging 2.9 hit in 100 innings pitched. Clemens strikes out, but that's an afterthought. Estes went out there today. He answered the questions. Are they going to try to hit Roger Clemens? The answer is yes, and he couldn't.
But the attempt was there. And if you're a teammate of Sean Estes, if you're the New York Mets, that's good enough.
With 2 out, nobody on, Soriano takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Now it's over. Don't you get that feeling? Don't you feel like the crowd is appeased?
Almost.
Yeah, I do.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I get the feeling that, you know, if he's doing it for the crowd, if the collective bloodlust is there, and it's debatable about whether it should be or not, well, then I think the crowd is appeased. I think his teammates are appeased. Mike Piazza, Bobby Valentine, everybody is satisfied. That's my belief.
I think they're almost satisfied.
Yeah.
They'd like to see him wince in pain, and they'd like to see a bruise. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Soriano hits a clunker to Alfonso. Tough play. Good play to end the inning. Now, maybe I'm just seeing things, but after Estes missed him, it looked like Piazza was at the plate with his head hanging like, oh, here's the pitch sequence. The first one missed him, then the strikeout, but the message was sent, and the message was, if I could have, I would have tried to hit you. I would have hit you.
At least I tried to.
Meanwhile, it's the Yankees and Mets, and there's no score as we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Ray Ordonez hits the first pitch past Coomer, and that should be a leadoff double as Rondell White gets to it. Ordonez, hitting only .239, is on to start the bottom of the 3rd. And now Estes will be up there in a spot where he's going to try to move the runner along. Just to go back.
Good piece of hitting by Ordonez. Go ahead, Joe.
Just to go back, and something we said at the beginning, and believe me, I don't believe anybody is recording our on-camera segments.
No.
And remembering what we said early. But to me, the only way everybody wins in this situation today was if Clemens got hit, he set the bat down, he trotted to first, it's over. Now I'm still not sure that it's over. Later in the game, there's nothing that says they don't take another run at him if Clemens pitches well enough to last longer into this game.
It's certainly a point worth considering. Another thing right here, the best place to pitch a guy if he's bunting is up and in. Now you can't pitch him up and in.
Because both benches have been warned, and Estes gets down a perfect bunt. Clemens was napping and out at first. Nobody's at the plate. 1-0 Mets as Ordonez comes around to score.
The guy who should have been at the plate, Roger Clemens. You exchange places with your catcher when your catcher feels the ball. The other guy who could have been there, Ron Coomer, the first baseman, but see, Coomer's backing up. Clemens falls asleep. You keep going, realizing that your catcher, in fielding the ball, has left home plate unprotected, and that is a mental mistake by Roger Clemens.
Here's Perez now with 1 out, nobody on, and that's strike 1. And you can understand how, with all the buildup, after the top of this 3rd inning just unfolded, and all that's been said, Clemens gets a ball thrown at him.
The last thing on his mind.
It's the last thing on his mind, and
That's right.
I'm sure he had all the buildup till then, and now it was like he was mentally taken out of the game for a moment.
Yeah, that's right.
He didn't go after the bunt, which was, I think, over halfway out to the mound, and then after the play was made by Posada, he didn't move.
That's another good point, because Posada made a terrific play going out farther than he normally would to make a play that Clemens could have had.
Perez gets a base hit into center, and he's on with 1 out here in the 3rd inning.
How about that for Estes? A sacrifice and an RBI, but it wasn't a squeeze.
It's a sacrifice.
No
They
RBI.
don't give an RBI.
No RBI. Okay. It was a continuous play. Why no RBI? Watch Ordonez. Ordonez slows down momentarily. But again, Posada, not only with a good throw to first, I'm not too sure Soriano's foot wasn't off the bat.
That's what the Mets initially started to argue when the out call was given at first by Mark Hirschbeck.
I mean, that was very, very close to having Soriano pull his foot off the bat. But again, a fine play by Posada and a mental mistake by Clemens. One more shot. at Ordonez, who just slows down momentarily. He did stop, sees nobody's covering home, and scores the first run of the ball game.
Everybody tries to explain Clemens throwing that broken bat in the direction of Mike Piazza in Game 2 of the World Series 2 years ago as, well, Clemens gets over-amped. He gets too hyped up. He's too into the game, and he lost his emotions for a moment, and therefore, after what just transpired, a rare at-bat for a future Hall of Famer, he gets a pitch thrown at him with all the buildup. You can understand how a guy who gets that amped up for a game could lapse a little bit in his concentration in what he's trying to do on the mound. That was awfully close with Perez getting back to the bag. A double by Ordonez, a perfect bunt by Estes, and now a hit by Perez.
It's been talked about so many times, that play by Clemens, where Clemens fired the bat near Piazza in the Subway Series of 2000 in Game 2. I can understand somebody snapping. Anybody can do it on the field. Anybody. But once you gather your wits, you've got to apologize, and that apology was never forthcoming.
Well, you touched on it a moment ago when the Yankees and Bernie Williams stole on Mike Piazza. And then last inning, Burnett steals second with 2 outs. Clemens is trying as best he can to keep Perez close at first, but because it takes Rogers so long to get the ball to the plate, like the Yankees have been running at will on Piazza, the Mets today figure to run at will against Roger Clemens.
Because of that high leg kick, like most power pitchers.
He's thrown over 3 chances in a row, and now a throw down to first by Posada.
That looked like a pitch out. If it wasn't a pitch out, it looked like Posada was expecting a pitch out. Yeah, that's a, if it wasn't a full pitch out, it was a quasi pitch out, if that's possible.
It looked like it was almost a pitch out in a throw to first situation. Throwing behind the runner if he doesn't go. And that's 4 times now that Clemens has thrown over on Perez. And we still await the 1-0 pitch to Alfonso. Only 2 out of 5 is Perez as he takes his lead at first. One ball, 1 strike. In conclusion, this is not your regular June 15th Saturday afternoon game at Shea.
Not at all. You know, with all of the things surrounding this game, I am surprised that Bob Watson, who polices things for Major League Baseball and/or the umpires, shouldn't have issued a warning before the game today. I wonder if that warning were issued if Estes still throws at Clemens.
Perez takes off as another one gets away from Posada. That happens time and time again with Jorge Posada. And down at second with 1 out is Perez.
Posada has a very difficult time centering the ball in his glove. And when it centers, it is a pass ball. He had 1 last night. Excellent base running by Perez, taking second on a short pass ball. But you're exactly right. I mean, Posada, that happens to a team of world championship caliber. It happens too often to Posada.
So now Alfonso in an RBI situation. He's driven in 18 this season. Runner at second, 1 out. And the count goes to 3-1 on Alfonso.
Joe, often pass balls are the result or the results of the quality of your pitching staff. If your pitching staff is a very good pitching staff, often a catcher will have more pass balls because there's more action on the pitches when he receives them.
Alfonso pops it up. Alfonso to Alfonso. 2 out. And with a runner at second and 2 away, here's Roberto Alomar. I can understand if I'm a Mets fan, Steve Phillips goes out and gets Mo Vaughn for Kevin Appier I like it. I'm happy. I'd like to take a run at Mo Vaughn and see what he gives you.
Even though he was out all of last year.
Even though he was, and the bad part is now that it's been so apparent that his bat has slowed as much as it has, you're locked into a lot of money with Mo Vaughn. 3 years, $42 million, that it might hamper you doing something else to help this club for next year. Roberto Alomar, I'm just shocked at how poorly he's played for the Mets.
I am too. Arguably his worst year in the major leagues.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And that is saying a lot for a guy who I don't think he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame.
His numbers since World War II among second basemen in Major League Baseball, he ranks in the top 5 in just about every offensive category, and you're talking about a 10-time Gold Glove Award winner. He's in the hole here. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Burnitz for Rush. I wasn't a fan of that. Cedeno, the guy who's stolen as many as 66 bases in a season. The Mets needed a leadoff hitter. Shows you what kind of a start he has gotten off to, though, that he's batting today in the number 7 spot, and they're leading off with Timo Perez. That's been a major disappointment. But Alomar, it's shocking for a guy this good to have fallen this fast. The 1-2. And that's, again, not to say you can't get it back, and the Mets are playing in only their 67th game of the season. But it's taken a guy who's put together this kind of a resume, 12-time All-Star, to settle in with the Mets. It shouldn't take this long. Runner at second, 2 out, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the inning is over as Clemens gets strikeout number 4. We go to inning number 4, and the Mets take the lead on the old bunt, throw to first. Guy scores from second play. You know it, 1-0 Mets. Sean Estes, with everything that went into this start, his first year with the Mets, has turned in a solid beginning to this game. 3 innings, 5 strikeouts. Got around a leadoff double in the second, and that is the Yankees' only hit. Belongs to Bernie Williams. And he'll bat here in the 4th inning after Jeter and Giambi. Jeter struck out his first time. That's ball 1. Our virtual manager question: should the Mets continue to try and hit Clemens? 84% of those voting on that believe that they should. Time will tell. 2 balls, no strikes from Estes to Jeter. Estes, a former 19-game winner, a huge year in '97. Was 19-5 with a 3.18 ERA. Opposite way, and a leadoff base hit for Jeter.
How do you know what 84% of the people that we're dealing with here? I mean, it could be 84% of the people who thought Gladiator was a comedy.
That's right.
You know,
there's no.
First baseman, number 25,
it's just a flat system. You punch Y for yes, N for no. That's it. So it's not ultra scientific. You can't take that and get upset about it, Tim. You just have to let it happen.
I was trying to bring up the point that I guess this game, as much as any game, brings out the morbid curiosity in all of us. The morbidity, if that's the word, in all of us.
1 on, nobody out. Giambi takes a strike.
I mean, to tune in to a baseball game to see if the pitcher's going to be hit. And that, I'm sure, is the reason for a lot of the appeal of this ball game.
Well, let me ask you, because I work with and have worked with a lot of guys who played in your era, and I'm sorry to hit you with that, but in your era.
Okay.
Giambi pops it up. Easy for Cedeno out in left. 1 on, 1 out. All I've heard about since I got into this business, working with guys like you and Mike Shannon and listening to people that I respect a lot, is about how it used to be back in the 50s and 60s. And you caught Gibson. You had to face guys like Drysdale and others, and that stuff went on the field. You didn't need to get umpires involved. You didn't need to get league offices or Major League Baseball involved.
Right.
Therefore, here we go into this game, and I know a lot of the old-time players are thinking, what's the big deal? What's the big deal about a guy getting hit by a pitch? It was more a part of the game then, at least driving hitters off the plate, than it is now.
That's why, in my opinion, the issue, what is the issue? Why was Clemens thrown out? It wasn't because Clemens was thrown out because he hit Mike Piazza in the head. That's my view. But when you throw the barrel of a bat, a jagged end of a bat, at or near a player, you may not have been throwing it at him, but it's near enough to worry about that it could have hit him. Then in my view, you issue no apology, then it's a different issue.
Here are some of the names that always come up: Gibson, Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, Don Drysdale, Pedro Martinez. Batters faced per one-hit batsman. That means 1 out of every 5 batters, 85 batters that Pedro Martinez has faced, he hits a batter. Clemens is third on that list, and that's a list compiled of really the names that you often hear and think about with regard to guys who would throw at hitters.
And you can add a lot of other names of guys. They're the most famous, perhaps, because they're all Hall of Famers. But Gaylord Perry, a Hall of Famer. Juan Marichal, when he was younger, he'd drill you in a second. All of the guys, that was an accepted thing. If you hit a guy well, then you better be loose in your boots.
Who was it? Stan Williams? Wasn't he a guy?
Stan Williams.
If he got 3 balls and the count on you, he'd hit you instead of walking.
Oh, sure. I don't want to walk him intentionally. I'll just drill him.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to Williams. 2-2. Yet I know it boils your blood to do that, to go back and say, well, back when I played and back in another era, but it is something that's always been a part of this game. And now it's been so regulated and almost taken out of the players' hands by Major League Baseball, formerly the league offices, that you run into situations like this. Last night you get warnings by umpires in situations that don't warrant them.
For instance, Jeremy Burnett's hit in the head by Sterling Hitchcock, who entered the game in relief of Andy Pettit. And there was no more intention of even coming near Jeremy Burnett. Burnett's hitting under 200. There's Bob Watson. Puts a lot of undue pressure on the guys in positions like him, the umpires. If they just let the hitters and the pitchers handle it, they wouldn't have to be involved. There is undue publicity on this particular part of the game. It should be an issue where all young pitchers, it's going to get to the point where the pitchers are going to be afraid to throw inside to hitters. I mean, hitters are hit more today than they were years ago. In 1927, Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs and was never hit by a pitch. Not once. Hack Wilson drove in 190 runs 3 years later. He was hit once all year. So by trying to be officious about everything on the field, I think it's leading to more guys being hit.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Runner goes. Struck him out at the plate. Jeter safe with a stolen base. 2 out. 6th strikeout for Estes.
And another stolen base for the Yankees. You could see that reaction by Mike Piazza right there. Talk about something that could take away from your offense to the point where Piazza, and Joe, you said it last year, and I did not agree with you when you said it, but you were exactly right. It was time for Piazza to hang him up as a catcher. And you were right about it happening last year, and that's what he should have done.
Look at this. 2 outs, and they're just stealing third.
Yeah.
The benefits are few, and the disadvantages, you've got a pitcher out there worrying about stolen bases and stuff going on behind him instead of worrying about the hitter. You've got a guy like Mike Piazza, who's by far their best hitter, who has to come out of a game in Atlanta because he's getting nauseous from being behind the plate on a hot day, and you have to take that bat out of your lineup because he wants to catch. You're paying a guy over $90 million, and yet the player dictates what position he's going to play. Well, I'm a huge Mike Piazza fan.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know
so
that.
am I. So am I.
And I'm just saying that there's going to be a time where he's going to have to switch positions.
Now's the time
to help this team.
Yeah.
On the outside corner. Hall of Fame numbers through 10 full seasons. You can stack up Piazza against the best of the best in the history of the game. And he wins in almost every major offensive category. But the disadvantage to this group and this team, when he can't answer the belt because he's worn out, he's getting foul tips and bloodied behind the plate, it just isn't worth it. Runner at third, 2 out, the 2-2 pitch. Piazza with a throw down to first, and the inning is over, and that means Estes protects a 1-run lead and has struck out 7. We go to the bottom of the 4th here at Shea. 1-0 Mets. Our RadioShack.com trivia question: who are the only 2 players to hit World Series home runs at both Yankee Stadium and Shea Stadium? Here's Mike Piazza against Roger Clemens, and there's strike 1. Piazza flied to shallow right his first time up. Hitting .284 up the middle. Soriano has time, good arm, 1 out. Here comes Mo Vaughn. We asked Mo about regaining that form that made him a 1-time MVP.
I'm never going to make excuses about missing a year in terms of failure. You know what I mean? I need to do some things to get my bat to the ball the right way and get going and help this ball club. I'm still very optimistic about it. If I felt that I wasn't going to be able to do it, then I would I'd put my spikes up, because you don't want to go out this way.
Well, that won't go out that way into right field as Vaughn got under it. Spencer waited for it. 2 up, 2 down.
Number 20.
Looks like he's a little more over the plate that time.
He didn't get all of this ball, that uppercut swing that was so familiar to Boston Red Sox fans for so many years. About 5-6 feet short.
He had a perfect Fenway Park swing.
He did.
Because he would hit it the opposite way, get under the ball, and if not get it over the green monster, hit it off the green monster for a double. Here's Burnitz, who has one of the 3 Mets hits today. Single and a stolen base his first time. Mo Vaughn, by the way, missed all of last year with a torn biceps tendon. Giambi, a nice play to his right, feeds Clemens, and the inning is over. So we slip into the 5th. Still 1-0 Mets here at Shea. Our RadioShack.com trivia question: who are the only 2 players to hit World Series home runs at both Yankee and Shea Stadium? Sir, anyone?
Bernie Williams, is that one?
Jeter.
Jeter and Williams?
I remember Jeter's home run here. And Piazza.
Oh, good going. Bernie Williams was 0 for 22. That's right. Bernie was 0 for 22 before he hit one against Al Leiter in Game 5 of 2000.
Shea Stadium opened up in 1964, so you don't have to go back before 1964. As Rondell White leads it off, took a ball from Sean Estes. He'll be followed by Coomer and Spencer if anybody gets on Roger Clemens. who was thrown at, missed. Estes did. And then Clemens struck out back in the 3rd inning. Remember the play that Alfonso made just before the Clemens at bat. Terrific was just scintillating, staggering as you saw him make a backhand, kind of an Olay kind of play where he came up with it. White over the top of that delivery, 73 miles an hour, and the count 1-2. Estes has been, with the exception of missing Roger Clemens with his attempt, he has been outstanding. And that continues. 8 strikeouts for Estes. 1 out here in the 5th inning. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, interleague play continues. Nomar Garciaparra and the Red Sox battle Shawn Green and the Dodgers, plus other regional action. It all begins next week after our coverage of World Bowl 10 at the special time of 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. We will be, or I'll be at Wrigley for the Cardinals and Cubs.
And I.
By the way, 1 out, nobody on. Here's Coomer, a former Cub. Grew up in Chicago, idolized the Chicago Cubs, played for the Northsiders last year, had a pretty good year. When Bill Miller went down, Coomer got a lot of action at 3rd base, and he was shocked not to be asked back. So we landed in a pretty good spot. 2 balls, no strikes for one of the new Yankees. Brian Cashman, who has helped put this team together. You were saying something before we went on the air that I thought was interesting and is worthwhile bringing back. With a 2-0 pitch, 2-1.
The Mets have 4 players in their lineup, that 4 very important players that they can't do a lot with. They have to perform. Roger Cedeno, Jeremy Burnett, Mo Vaughn, and Roberto Alomar. The Yankees also have changed 5 of their near regulars. Tino Martinez in St. Louis. Scott Brocious gone, retired. Paul O'Neill retired. David Justice with the Athletics now.
Knobloch with Kansas City.
Chuck Knobloch with Kansas City. So the Yankees have changed about the same amount of guys the Mets have, and look at the condition of the Mets compared to the Yankees, which means that it takes more than money. Everybody is so used to saying, well, the Yankees have all the money, and no wonder. Well, they got a lot of money. But it takes judgment, the judgment of Brian Cashman and Joe Torre and George Steinbrenner. Obviously the money, but the Mets have paid about the same amount of money. And again, look at their condition and look at the condition of the Yankees.
A lot of it starts with a farm system, being able to replenish from within, or at least identify the guys in your own system around which you can build, around whom you can build. Guys like Bernie Williams, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Alfonso Soriano. Those are 4 huge pieces of the puzzle for the New York Yankees. This is Spencer.
Nuclei, yeah.
This is Spencer, who also came up through the Yankee organization, and 2 years ago was injured in the year 2000 here at Shea Stadium. Tore up his knee as he checks on Alfonso, shows good range, and takes care of Spencer. Spencer cried after being diagnosed with a tear in his knee. He's worked his way back. He's the final out in the top of the 5th.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by The Pilot, a rugged new SUV built by Honda. By Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball. By Cold Bold Captain Morgan Gold, the refreshing new premium malt beverage. What do you say, got a little captain in you? And by Fram, who reminds you that there's no better feeling than that of a job well done.
It's a 1-0 Mets lead as Roger Cedeno leads off against Roger Clemens. Cedeno, Ordonez, and Estes, the bottom 3 in the lineup for the Mets, who are getting a terrific outing today from Sean Estes. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pretty good rip by Cedeno, who is hitting .237. Cedeno had offers from the Detroit Tigers to remain. He ended up signing as a free agent here in December, past December. a former New York Met. The crowd says, hey, wait a minute, that's too close, as they react on a pitch up and in.
Reacting on this fastball up around the letters.
You're paying attention here at Shea today.
Pay attention to their baseball in New York.
Here's the 2-1. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cedeno came up with the Dodgers in '95. He was with the Mets in '99, hit .313 and stole 66 bases. Last year had a decent year with Detroit. Now he's back with the Mets. The count's full. Hit .293 last year. Stole 55.
A guy like Clemens, all he tries to do is what he did the first time. Get Cedeno to hit the ball in the air.
And he does down the left field line. That's going to fall. Fair or foul? It's fair. White gets it back in. A leadoff double for Roger Cedeno. Ordonez and Estes coming up.
Yeah, in the air to the fat part of the field, not down the line. There are few outfielders other than perhaps Barry Bonds who would have ever made a play like that to catch it before it hits the ground. Bonds takes that little flare by left-handed batters, as you can see that swing by Cedeno, but Bonds will take that flare away from left-handers. Not too many other left fielders will do that.
Now it's Ordonez who has scored the only run of the day, a leadoff double in the third, and scored on a sacrifice bunt, fielder's choice.
Yankees infielders looking for the bunt.
Well, we've seen Valentine do it before, even with the pitcher coming up. Cedeno's not going to test Bernie Williams. Sean Estes will be the hitter. And we asked Sean about what he believes the fans' expectations would be for this start against Clemens and the Yankees.
I pitch for the Mets, and I'm only concerned about the guys right now that I have to see in the clubhouse, and the guys I got to look at for the next 4 months, 5 months of the season. So that's pretty much all I'm concerned about. You know, they can't pitch for me. You know, so and I have to worry about myself and the team.
I think he can look his teammates in the eyes after what he did and the way he has pitched after throwing at Roger Clemens, as Estes lines one down the left field line. Foul. Has he done, Estes, has he done? Obviously he didn't hit him, and that was what he planned to do, was hit Roger Clemens. This is the pitch. He threw at him and he missed him. Has he done enough?
Oh, I think so. He's gotten the point across. That's all you want to do.
And then followed that up with a great start.
Eye for a figurative eye, not a literal eye.
With a runner at second, one out, Estes takes ball one.
But you can imagine, had that ball been fair, what Clemens would have been thinking and what was going through Roger's mind. You try to drill me, and then you drive in a run against me.
Runner at second, one out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Pretty well hit into left field. Rondell White was playing shallow. Back at the wall, it's gone! Estes homers against Roger Clemens. He didn't hit him, he hit him and took him out of the park. 3-0 Mets.
My goodness.
Now he's done enough. They want a curtain call here at Shea Stadium. Crowd wants a curtain call from Estes. 1 out, nobody on. Perez. 2-0. Perez grounds to short. 2 out. Third major league home run for Shea Estes. And with this, another $27,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research.
Shea Estes with 9 strikeouts through 5 innings, a 2-run home run, and a sacrifice responsible for a run being scored in the 3rd inning when Ordonez came in from second base. What a day so far in 5 innings for Shea Estes.
Only the 4th home run that Clemens has allowed this season, and after nearly doubling down the left field line, he tomahawks one over the wall and left. And Rogers getting a serenade from the crowd here at Shea. That's foul. And the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Roger Clemens, by the way, will lead off in the 6th.
First base umpire Mark Hirschbeck made that call. And another observation about Clemens. Clemens wears a mouth guard. And does he ever need it right now? He is seething through that mouth guard.
Roger, that's what the fans at Shea are saying. That's foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Alfonso.
We'll get into this, to more of this later in the game, but I'll tell you two guys that are happy on the West Coast. That's Dusty Baker and Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds drilled by Clemens last Sunday when the Giants were in town. And some choice words about Clemens from Dusty Baker, the manager of the Giants.
Another foul. Another hard hit foul. Dusty Baker said after that game Sunday, you can be bold over here in the American League and get away with it. It'll be a little different in our league where you have to hit. If Clemens, was in the National League, he might not be known as the Rocket. Maybe it would be Roger the Dodger. Well, he dodged out of the way of a pitch from Estes. He couldn't get one past the bat of Shea Estes here in the 5th inning. A 2-run home run to make it 3-0.
And Estes, the former Giant.
The 2-2 to Alfonso. Full count. Alfonso getting good swings against Clemens. After making a comment during the offseason at a banquet about introducing himself to that protective guard that Bonds wears on his right elbow, be darned if last Sunday Clemens didn't ricochet one off that guard, the right elbow of Barry Bonds. 3-2 pitch, a 2-out walk. And the first walk of the day from either starter.
The second baseman, number 12.
San Francisco Giants watching this game as they host the Oakland Athletics. So it'd be about 5 to 12, a 1 o'clock game. Yep, about 23 of the 25-man rosters watching this game out at Pac Bell.
The other guy, one of the other guys is running, and one guy's in the cage taking extra batting practice. Otherwise, 23 of the 25 are watching.
And Dusty Baker in his office.
And he just smiled. Another look at the Estes home run. Shea Estes has a lot of new fans here at Shea Stadium after this. Bottom of the 5th, 3-0 Mets. This is Alomar, and he takes ball 1. .269 average for Alomar.
Some game, huh?
To the right side, and Soriano takes care of Alomar. Estes has outpitched and outhit Roger Clemens here this afternoon. He leads it off when we come back in the 6th. 3-0 Mets.
And it's time for the Pepsi T-shirt ball.
Second at bat for Roger Clemens. Clemens struck out his first time and takes ball 1 high from Sean Estes. We'd like to welcome those of you watching the White Sox and the Cubs 2-2 according to the scoreboard here at Shea. Clemens hangs in there and gets a pretty good rip. 1 ball, 1 strike. Since we last left that Chicago audience, we've had a lot of action. First, they were here and watched Sean Estes throw one behind Roger Clemens, missed him, trying to hit him back in the 3rd inning. Since then, the Mets have taken the lead. Estes says, where was that pitch? It counts 2-1. And then Estes just hit a 2-run home run off Roger Clemens in the bottom of the 5th. Both benches have been worn. So you wouldn't figure that Estes, who's working on one of his best games as a New York Met, would try any inside deliveries or try to flip Roger Clemens here in the 6th inning. That's the farthest thing from his mind as he tries to protect a 2-hit shutout here in the 6th inning. The 2-2. Hard hit. Fair past 3rd. Clemens thinking about his 2nd career double. He chugs into 2nd, and he's there to start the 6th inning.
Bobby Valentine saying he may have missed first base. I watched him. It looked like he touched the inside corner of the bag. Valentine, a lot of times if you're trying to get a call, you do it as loudly as you can. And so he'll come to a stretch. Clemens just inside the bag at 3rd. Did he touch first? Yep, inside corner. So Estes will come to a stretch, then he'll step off and throw it to first, but he clearly touched the base.
So now they appeal to first. Mark Hirschbeck, the crew chief, says that Clemens hit the base. So Estes nearly hit a double against Clemens and then went one better and hit a home run, and now Clemens gets his 2nd career double, and he's at 2nd with nobody out for Alfonso in a 3-0 game. The Mets on top. Alfonso Soriano takes ball 1.
Usually if a Chicago Cub game, if they have cutaways, it's for Sammy Sosa hitting. You can see somebody in Chicago, maybe without the prior knowledge of Roger Clemens, saying we're cutting away for Clemens to hit. What? And he does.
He had 2 good swings in that at bat against Estes.
Yeah.
And why is it that pitchers who do more running than any other members of a 25-man roster can't run at all? 2 balls and a strike.
But because they run in a straight line or from line to line in the outfield,
I mean, that was
and they don't
ugly.
run the bases. Also, Roger Clemens has had a lot of problems with his groin and his hamstrings since he's been with the Yankees. So third base coach Willie Randolph cognizant of that. I mean, on a base hit to the outfield, he's going to make sure that there will be no play that's going to be close at home.
The count's gone to 3-1 on Soriano with Jeter on deck and then Giambi. See if the leadoff double by Clemens leads to anything for the Yankees. Hard hit, base hit. Clemens will be held at 3rd. First and third, nobody out. And the tying run will come to the plate.
Laced to left by the multi-talented Soriano. Here's one of those situations, Joe, where I think on a ground ball to an infielder, forget about a double play. Tag Clemens as quickly as possible, have the situation first and second for the Yankees, and not first and third, and forget about the double play. Because Roger, I mean, how adept is he at getting out of a rundown play?
Call timeout. Charlie Huff is out to talk. He's the pitching coach for the Mets. Tomorrow, start your day with NASCAR this morning, presented by Smirnoff Ice on Fox Sports Net, followed by the Michigan 400, presented by Circuit City. Then get a full wrap-up of all the day's action on NASCAR Victory Lane All Access with John Andretti on Fox Sports Net. Speed Channel, the home of NASCAR TV. Nothing gets you closer to NASCAR.
While you were reading that promo and Charlie Huff was out on the mound, Roberto Alomar was talking to Ray Ordonez. And I'll bet you that he was talking something, or one of his subjects was Roger Clemens at third base. Let's think about it. A pitcher like Clemens is not used to situations like this.
A fan is out running around on the field, and it's our policy not to show those people who choose to do that. So while that fan is wrestled to the ground and dragged off to Never Never Land, it's first and third with nobody out. Jeter at the plate, and Mark Guthrie trying to get loose in a hurry. Estes, to throw a one-hit shutout on April 26th. Earlier in the year here at home against Milwaukee, is only 2 strikeouts shy of his career high. The Best Damn Sports Show periods. All-Star Summer kicks off. Month-long celebration with special guests. Shaq, Barry Bonds, The Rock, and many more, plus scenes from Tom's bachelor party and free TV's first Ultimate Fight. Huge stars, the Best Damn Sports Show periods All-Star Summer later this month on Fox Sports Net. Derek Jeter with first and third and nobody out. Guthrie getting loose in the bullpen. And Estes trying to get out of trouble, which was started by a leadoff double from Roger Clemens. That play at first base where they don't hold against the runner made some sense with Olrud, made less sense with Zeal, and makes no sense with Mo Vaughn. Trying to move that big body back to the bag, catch the throw from Estes, and then apply a tag is just silly.
Meanwhile, if you're Soriano, it's like standing behind a condo trying to peer around the corner. Mo Vaughn at 265.
First and third, nobody out, and Jeter takes strike one. Soriano has stolen 16 bases.
His last stolen base was on May 31st when he had 2 against the Red Sox. Even though the Yankees trail by 3, every situation's a running situation for the Yankees.
Jeter somehow able to hold his swing and the count 1-1. And you can see Estes try to vary his delivery to the plate, all in an effort to help Piazza behind the plate. Soriano 16 out of 20, as we showed you.
Yeah, when the situation's as dire as it is for the Mets and their throwing problems, Mike Piazza's throwing problems, it affects not only Piazza defensively and offensively, but your whole pitching staff.
Runner goes, Jeter fouls it, and Piazza would have had no chance. Bad arm, good arm, doesn't matter. Soriano got a great jump.
He could have gone in standing up.
Not only a good jump, but you realize just how fast he is when you watch him go. from first to second. But Jeter fouled it. Now Derek is in the hole 1-2. 2-2. With Giambi on deck.
Met outfield playing Jeter about straight away, and Timo Perez in center field even a step to pull, and Jeter one of the best at going the other way with 2 strikes.
Now it's a full count.
See, they're pitching him inside thinking that's the pitch he's going to pull. He hits the inside pitch to right better than he does the outside pitch.
And there's no doubt that Soriano will take off on this 3-2 pitch. First and third, nobody out. Huge lead by Soriano. Running as Jeter fights it off and fouls.
You're an outfielder. You should really pay attention to the foul balls a hitter hits. Often that's an indication of where to play. If Derek Jeter can take the inside pitch once again to right field as he just did then, even though it was foul, you should move toward right center. No movement by Perez.
Runner goes late, a little fly ball into right. I wouldn't think they'll try it. Will they with Clemens?
No.
Terrible throw, but nobody advances, and it's first and third, 1 out. You were pretty certain on that?
Very.
You can't flat out say it, though, because when he takes off, you're just expect.
Yeah, right. Well, your faithful analyst can say it.
Okay.
Roger Clemens has seen enough of base runners on at third base to bluff a throw, and Burnitz took the bait.
Well, again, the tying run at the plate. 1 out. The batter is Giambi. Through 67 games last year with Oakland, Giambi 17 home runs, 54 RBIs. Through 67 games with the Yankees, 17 home runs, 50 RBI. So he's just about at the production pace that he was on last year when the Yankees fell in love with him from a distance. The average is down, but about the same, and considering the kind of start that Giambi had. He is a hot hitter as he stands in and takes strike 1 from Estes.
Wicked curveball from Estes.
6th inning, 3-0 Mets. First and third, 1 out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Over the last 30 games, Giambi is hitting .380. Still expect at some point Soriano to take off. Showed you that graphic that the Yankees are 7 for 7 in a game and a half of this series with the Mets. In particular, Piazza. There he goes. No chance. 8 for 8. And a base hit could make it a 1-run game as Soriano steals his 17th of the season.
No chance. Here's the situation also that if you're the Yankees, I think I'd make Roger Clemens make the ball go through. Normally you may think about sending him here with the infield back. I wouldn't send him. If you're the Mets, on the other hand, and he runs, you nail him at the plate even though you're playing deep.
Giambi able to lay back and take ball 3. It's 3-1. On deck is the switch hitter, Bernie Williams. Amazing that a guy with that much power has that kind of back control.
Because usually guys with that kind of power has to start early, and how he can start and then stop late is amazing.
That's headed for the seats. And it's a full count. Mentioned 380 over his last 30 games, 11 of his 17 home runs for Giambi, 30 of his 50 RBIs. And look at the slugging percentage, 750 over the past month, and he was the American League Player of the Month for the month of May. The count's full. Estes has struck out 9 today. Now check.
Perfect pitch to Giambi. A tight fastball. A lot of times you think of a 3-2 count that the hitter has seen a lot of the pitcher. Well, that was a situation where the pitcher saw a lot of the hitter. Good job by Estes.
Bernie Williams 1 for 2 today. One of the 4 Yankee hits. A leadoff double in the second. And then Estes got Posada. Struck out White and Coomer to end the inning. Ball 1. Piazza is a number of things for a ball club. One thing he is as a catcher is active. One thing he isn't is lazy behind the plate. He's a big-bodied guy who will get down and block pitches. Estes with a huge strikeout to get Giambi, but now it's Bernie Williams. Wanted that pitch, didn't get it. It's 2-0. 95 pitches on the afternoon for Estes, who was 1 strikeout away from his career high.
If I'm Bernie Williams right now, I look for the curveball against Estes, and if I don't get it, I take it. I look breaking ball with first base open. No.
Gets a fastball, and it's 2-1.
Still have a lot to work with, and it looked like Bernie may have been looking breaking ball. Normally that's the ball that he swings at. That pitch was also low out of the strike zone too. That was not a strike.
Runners at second and third, 2 out, 3-0 Mets here in the 6th. And time's called before the pitch. Estes has had strikeouts with runners in scoring position in the 2nd, the 4th, here in the 6th. The Mets in their half of this inning will have Piazza, Vaughn, and Burnett. What will the score be? Low again. It's 3-1. Posada next. Didn't want any part of Williams after falling behind, and the bases are loaded with 2 out. For Jorge Posada. First walk of the day handed out by Estes.
Jorge Posada.
And Guthrie can just stand and watch out of the Mets bullpen right now. The rest of this inning, at least at the moment, it's up to Estes to try to finish off the top of the 6th. He has taken care of Posada twice. There's Posada blocking a pitch in the dirt. Ball 1.
Great play by Mike Piazza. Of course, you can take a chance with Clemens on at third base, and even on a medium, a ball that goes by you about halfway back to the screen or off to the left or right, Clemens is not going to try to score. Again, caution is the word with Clemens on at third base.
To third, fair ball, inning over. And Estes gets through the top of the sixth and gets around a leadoff double by Roger Clemens. Part of the order for the Mets. They lead by 3. Father's Day is tomorrow. Here's our Pepsi fan cam at Shea.
A fat daddy, bring it home to me. Fat daddy, bring it home to me. Yes, I'm blue, cold, and in misery. I've been walking around all day looking for you, baby. I've been walking around all day looking for you, sweet thing. I walked the streets till my feet got sore. Cried and cried, I can't cry no more. Fat daddy, bring it home to me. Fat daddy, you've been gone too long. Fat daddy, you've been gone too long.
Dinah Washington.
Wow.
Dinah Washington, Fat Daddy. P-H-A-T.
All right.
Right? Not just...
That's right.
P-H-A-T.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's Mike Piazza. 0 for 2. Robbed of a hit his last time up, and now he gets under one into left. At the wall. White. A leap, and it's gone. Home run Piazza. Giambi takes care of Vaughn. Tim, if you take away the fear of the inside pitch, take that away from Roger Clemens, and it's gone because of what's happened in the past and the warnings today. It's a different game with him pitching, and Piazza can stand up there and wail.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's in a pitcher's arsenal, pitching inside. If you don't pitch inside, that allows the hitter to lean out over the plate. You could see Mike Piazza with that body English trying to urge it over the... We've heard a grunt from Clemens several times today. That was a grunt from Piazza trying to
lift it
over the fence.
4th by Piazza against Clemens, and now it's Jeremy Burnitz who's 1 for 2. Joe Torre paid a visit to the mound. Interesting time for Torre to pop out of the dugout and talk to Roger Clemens. No action that I can see in the Yankee bullpen. If there is, it just started. It's Lilly up. Here's an 0-2 pitch. Clunker to Giambi. Clemens wins the race and makes a pretty athletic play at the end. 2 out.
Heck, Joe, if you take the inside pitch away from any pitcher, it's going to affect them. A nice play by Roger Clemens. 6 Cy Young Awards. 6. And now Gene Monahan, the trainer, it looked like Posada was waving for him to come out there. And we talked about the base running. That is where Roger Clemens has hurt himself in the past. He has very thick legs, thighs, and that groin problem has been a problem since he's joined the Yankees, and that is a dangerous play for Roger Clemens. Appears to be all right.
Here's Cedeno with 2 out, nobody on. 1 ball, no strikes.
He's hurt. Something's wrong.
And Joe Torre is going to make a visit, a medical visit.
You can see how he delivered that last pitch. He's had problems with the left groin. And now Gene Monahan. Posada was trying to get Steve Donahue. Said Gene Monahan. There's Steve. Steve, the assistant trainer. Here's the last pitch. You could see that left leg. I mean, if you've been a Clemens follower, and you could see how he looked down after that pitch, something was bothering him. He just told Joe Torre he felt fine, but
yeah, I was going to say the same thing. You know, Clemens is pleading with Torre to leave him in the game, but they're going to take him out. That is the end of the day for Roger Clemens. A little bit of a limp as he exits. And a rather mild reaction as Clemens leaves through the Yankee dugout and will head up to the trainer's room. Another look at the play at first base. Clemens can't continue through 1 more pitch. Now it's Ted Lilly's turn. 4-0 Mets. Look at Mike Piazza and Sean Estes. A good combination today for the Mets. With a home run hit by Piazza, another $27,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research.
you can see the fingers split of Mike Piazza. We talked about the home runs over the last couple of years. Look at the split fingers right there. The splitter about 4 inches off the ground, lifted by Piazza. You can see that reaction by Clemens. You've heard that expression, indifference is worse than hate. He was very indifferent about that ball hit by Piazza.
2 balls, no strikes as Lilly inherits a 1-0 count. Now it's 2-0 on Cedeno. Turns around and bats right-handed. The numbers for Lilly: 2-5. He's been a starter this season for the Yankees. Yankees got Pettit back in their rotation last night on a rain-soaked night here at Shea. Threw just under 100 pitches. Appeared no worse for the wear. So along the health lines, at least it was a good first start back off the disabled list for Pettit for the Yankees. And they need him. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Cedeno. Roger doubled and scored. He scored on the home run hit by Sean Estes against Roger Clemens in the 5th. It's 4-0 here in the 6th. Full count. On 3-2, Cedeno gets under 1 into left. Ball's carrying well today. Rondell White back near the wall to end the inning. A leadoff home run by Mike Piazza against Roger Clemens. 4th for Piazza against the Rockets. 4-0 Mets. Back after this from your local Fox station. A strike, and we start the 7th inning. A 4-0 Mets lead. Rondell White, Ron Coomer, and Shane Spencer. If anybody gets on, Ted Lilly, the pitcher. Estes, for the most part, has had outstanding control. He's had good life to his fastball. A good curveball that we talked about. Bobby Valentine thought the quote-unquote new strike zone, the newly defined strike zone, would help. Having more high strikes called with that good over-the-top curveball that Estes possesses, but that hasn't played out. Today, though, Sean's been great. Came in with a 2-5 record. An ERA of 4.83, and so far no runs on 4 hits allowed. And it's still 1-2 on Rondell White.
In a season that has been as dismal as this day is, cloud cover, and that's the best way to describe the Mets season so far this year, cloud cover.
White is tied up, and that's 11 strikeouts, the fourth time that Estes has struck out as many as 11 in a game. That's a career high.
All up and in to Rondell White. This game represents perhaps and arguably the best thing a Mets fan has had to cheer about all year. Estes throws at Clemens. He misses him. Clemens is out of the game. Estes hits a two-run homer, and Piazza hits a solo homer. If you're a Met fan, things couldn't be any better through the first 6 innings.
Coomer fouls it out of play off to the right. There was a 2-day quick stretch in April when Estes, on the 26th, threw a 1-hit shutout, a 1-0 win over Milwaukee, and the next day Pedro Estacio had a no-hitter through 6 1/3, and he won his game. Those were back-to-back games, and right about the time people started to notice how good the starting rotation was performing for Bobby Valentine's Mets. And that has really carried on. The Mets come in second in the National League and second in the major leagues with a group ERA of 3.48. Their team average is 245, and they've hit only 49 home runs coming in. 51 now with the 2-hit today. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Coomer. Two and two. We were in the clubhouse for the Mets when Estes walked in today. Nobody said anything to him. Changed. What about his work? Kind of a weird mood in the Mets clubhouse, understandably, prior to this game. The count stays 2-2. The decision was made prior to this game, either solely in the mind of Sean Estes or on the part of Bobby Valentine and or the veterans who have been around. Only 7 remaining players who were active on the roster back in 2000 when Piazza was hit. They're still with this team. But they were going to hit Roger Clemens. That's into right center field. Long run, Burnitz. He can't get there, and it's off the base of the wall. A 1-out double for Ron Coomer. 1 on, 1 out. Spencer coming up. Here's Jeannie Zelasco with a game break.
And Joe, we're going to Wrigley for the Windy City Series. Cubs trailing top 6. The floodgates open up. Chris Side, bases loaded, single. 2 runs would score. But wait, there's more. Alex Gonzalez, come on down. An error by Paul Konerko would give the Cubs even more of a cushion. Sammy Sosa added a 2-run double, a 5-run 6. Get to the top of the 7th. Cubs is way out in front.
All right, Jeannie, thanks. So the Cubs trying to take the first 2 games of that series. Trying to get things going as Spencer fouls it out of play, strike 1. Cardinals lead at home over Kansas City 3-0 behind Jason Simon Tachi. Guy who's been released by 3 organizations. Ventura stands in the on-deck circle to hit for Lilly. It's remarkable what Simon Tachi has done for the Cardinals. We may very well see him next weekend when the Cardinals are at Wrigley. Scott Strickland, who worked in last night's game, is cranking it up again.
Cardinals have had so many problems with their starters on the disabled list this year. Epidemic in St. Louis.
At one point they had 7 pitchers of their 12-man staff on the disabled list. 1 ball, 1 strike on Spencer. The Cardinals start today a game out behind Cincinnati, and the Reds just keep on rolling. They came back to win. They beat Pittsburgh last night. Here's a 1-1. 2-1. One of our favorites, Aaron Boone, hit a home run to win it for Cincinnati.
Cincinnati with that good young outfield. Adam Dunn, Austin Kearns.
Here's a 2-1 pitch to the left side. Good play by Alfonso. Low throw and out. As Vaughn trapped it against his leg. 2 out.
What a terrific play on both ends right here. Edgardo Alfonso, Gold Glove caliber second baseman and third baseman. You don't see that combination too often. He shows why. And look at Vaughn. In between hop, fine play.
You and I are looking at this replay awfully
carefully.
So sure he was out. Runner at second, 2 out. Here's Ventura batting for Lilly. And first pitch swinging. He flies 1-2. Cedeno. And Estes continues his fine work. A 5-hit shutout through 7. Okay, he was out at first.
All right.
4-0 Mets.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball.
Frank Sinatra Jr.
I'm melting away. I am about to make a brand new start of it. You know, gonna make it anywhere. You're still the best. New York, New York, New York.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Sinatra Jr.
You were moved by that.
It surely was.
Number 10, Ray Ordonez.
His father, the chairman of the board, just like your father is.
That's right.
Chairman of the board.
Well, Frank Sinatra Jr., he did it last night. He does it today. Not only sounds like him, he looks like him. Here's Ray Ordonez leading it off in the bottom of the 7th. And a pitch outside for ball 1. Ordonez, then a pinch hitter, Valentin. So Estes is finished, it appears. With 1 out, a 1-0 count. Now there's 1 out as Alfonso Soriano takes care of Ordonez.
Tomorrow is Father's Day, and I sent Jack Buck a note last year saying that he is perhaps the most gallant man I've ever met. And I stick to that.
You sent it to him when he was in the hospital, and he got it. I read it to him, and he said, "Gallant? The heck's gallant mean?"
Yeah, like he didn't know.
No, it was much appreciated. Dad is hanging in there in St. Louis. You know, this game is on back in St. Louis as a strike is in at the knees to Valentin, the pinch hitter for Estes. Estes could not have done much more than he did here today. He threw behind Clemens early, trying to hit Clemens back in the 3rd inning. He missed him. Strickland will take over in the 8th. But outside of missing Roger Clemens with that beanball that he threw back in the 3rd inning, Estes was almost perfect after that. He did get into trouble in the 6th inning, but he got out of it. He allowed 5 hits, 2 doubles in there, walked only 1, and struck out 11. To the shortstop, Jeter. Kicks it. Eason.
One of the rare times you will see Derek Jeter on a take-for-granted error. That's an error that is committed when an infielder takes for granted what's going to happen. That ball rolling off the heel of the glove. and an error on Jeter.
1 on, 1 out. Back to the top of the order, and Perez with Alfonso to follow. This guy's tough to double. He can fly. Pops it up. That'll stay in play. Can anybody for the Yankees get there? Rondell White can. 2 out. Let's give you a game summary. It's brought to you by Clarinex.
The third baseman.
We're in the bottom of the 7th, a 4-0 Mets lead. Estes will be the lead story. His 11 strikeouts. He threw at but missed Clemens and later hit a home run off Roger Clemens, a 2-run shot in the bottom of the 5th. Mike Piazza hit his 4th career home run off Clemens in the 6th. And Roger left injured after a play at first base last inning on a ball hit by Burnett. Clemens lasted 5 2/3, allowing 4 runs on 5 hits, 2 home runs. 1 on, 2 out. Here's Edgardo Alfonso with Alomar on deck. Piazza will bat again before the end of the day. Alfonso 0 for 2 with a walk. One ball, 1 strike. Hitchcock made a Sunday start against the Giants, and he is now back in the bullpen. Worked last night, back at it today. This is a new role, and he unleashes a wild pitch to send Valentin down to second.
A 55.5-foot fastball off the wrist of Posada. That's a big league wild pitch right there.
In the 8th, the Yankees, who will be trailing by at least 4, will have the top of their lineup. Two and 2.
Just thinking about that 8th and 9th innings, the Yankees with 6 more outs to score at least 4 runs. And if you're Joe Torre, you're telling the offense to play the 8th and 9th innings just like it was the first inning of a scoreless ball game, even though the Yankees are trailed by 4. And you never even think about this unless a guy like Mike Piazza is having such throwing problems as he's having. When you get on, run.
2-2 pitch. Blocked well by Posada. Full count.
You know, in the area of bizarre happenings, I wonder what is the game. Is the most stolen bases by a team that was shut out. The Yankees have 4 in this game and have been shut out through 7.
That's a good question. Only because of the pitching of Sean Estes. Getting important strikeouts when he needed them with runners in scoring position for the Yankees. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at second, 2 out. Hitchcock. Third pitcher of the day for the Yankees. And Alfonso with another foul. 54,347. Packed in to see this game. And those sports fans who aren't here at Shea Stadium today may be out walking around Bethpage, the black course, watching the U.S. Open. Runner at second, 2 out, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Alfonso stays up there. Traxel last night. He pitched well enough to win, but the bullpen blew it for the Mets, and in particular Armando Benitez in the 9th inning. A 2-out hit by Jeter tied it, and Komiyama, a right-hander, gave up a 2-run home run to Robin Ventura. Another foul by Alfonso.
It's one of those wear you down to wear you out at bats by Alfonso. Hoping for a ball in the fat part of the plate. so far, Hitchcock has not given him one.
Runner at second, 2 out, and a 3-2 pitch. That should play in center for Williams. And the inning is over. Everybody wanted to talk about Roger Clemens coming into this game. What would Estes do? Sean Estes first, threw behind him. A wry smile by Clemens, and then Estes had to be all smiles after a 2-run homer. He's in line for the win today as the Mets lead 4-0 after 7.
Strickland in relief of Sean Estes. Estes was terrific. Strickland entering the game with a 5-3 record, his 33rd appearance of the year.
Top of the order for the Yankees: Soriano, Jeter, Giambi. Soriano now waiting around, going after the first pitch. Alfonso hitting .305, 87 hits, second highest total in the American League. Strike 2. Strickland, the former Montreal Expo right-hander, guy who was their closer for a while after Urbina went down with injuries, and a right-hander that the Mets have used a lot here early in the season, trying to get to Benitez. That'll get out of play, and it's still 0-2.
Strickland appears to be continuing to go up the ladder on Soriano. Strickland watching the World Series last year, Game 7, that ball he hit off Kurt Schilling off the ground. That gave the Yankees the 2-1 lead, and the game ultimately won by the Diamondbacks in the bottom of the ninth, 3-2.
A 1-ball, 2-strike count. To third. Ricardo Alfonso takes care of Alfonso Soriano, 1 out. Why does that humor me so much?
The shortstop, number 2, Derek Jeter.
Ricardo Alfonso, I'm a simple person, aren't I?
It's that rhythmic, semantic sense that you have. Yeah.
Just sad is what it is. With 1 out, nobody on. Here's Jeter, who's 1 out of 3.
Derek Jeter, the MVP in the All-Star game in the year 2000, played in Atlanta, and the MVP of the World Series when the Yankees beat the Mets in 5.
Therefore, for one spectacular summer night, the greatest collection of baseball superstars gather in Milwaukee to take SportsCenter stage July night, Tuesday night, the 73rd All-Star game. See baseball's best in one unforgettable night, only on Fox. Here's a 1-0 pitch with 1 out. And at the knees, 1 ball, 1 strike, 93 miles per hour. I'm sure these players feel like they were just wrapping up the first game of this 3-game set, which lasted forever in the rain here last night.
Quick turnaround for both teams.
To the left of Ordonez. So smooth. 2 out.
Mentioned the 12 errors on Ordonez this year, but he is still one of the smoothest shortstops around.
Here's Giambi. Jason is 0 for 3. Struck out twice. He's flied out. Coming up on 4 o'clock here in New York. Strickland moves him off the plate.
Not unusual with the Mets playing the shift on Giambi. 3 infielders on the right side of second base. Ordonez playing a shallow center. So you can see the center fielder, Timo Perez, just a shade to pull. Giambi, like a lot of power hitters, pulls the ball on the ground, but has good power in the air the other way.
Counts 2-0. Three 3-0 with Bernie Williams on deck. The Yankees 43-24, while the Mets are under 500. 32-34. And a 4-pitch walk to Giambi. 1 on, 2 out. Williams coming up next Saturday. The champion of NFL Europe will be crowned in World Bowl 10. The Rhine Fire look for their first title since 1998.
How's that?
Against the defending champion Berlin Thunder. You knew that earlier today Frankfurt was erased by Berlin. Right. The Berlin Thunder. World Bowl 10 kicks off next Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. That's followed by regional coverage of Fox Saturday Baseball at the special time of 3 Eastern, 2 Central. Is it over yet? Strickland's gone.
Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Radio Shack, official sponsor of Major League Baseball.
We're in the top of the 8th, a runner at first with 2 out. And Bernie Williams at the plate. You would be taking it to an extreme if you ran here.
No, I don't think they'll do it here. Not with Giambi.
No. Here's Guthrie, who is the 3rd pitcher today. Estes for 7, Strickland for 2/3. Now Guthrie with Williams up and Posada the switch hitter. Better, more powerful hitter left-handed to follow. 1 on, 2 out. Top of the 8th. 2-0. Some of the Mets fans start to squirm in their seats. They don't have to think back too far to remember the last time the Mets blew a late lead. Last night it was 2-0, then it was 2-1, then it was 2-2. The Mets lost 4-2 and 10. David Weathers was a part of that. Well, he took a line drive back up the middle.
Thinking about that, it's nice to see that he's all right.
Oh, it just took your breath away watching it. I don't know how he's okay, but he is, thank goodness. Bernie Williams is jammed, and Guthrie does his job as Cedeno puts it away, and the Yankees are finished in the top of the 8th. A walk, a man left. The Yankees have left 7. We've played more than 7, 7.5 to be exact. Do you know the score? It's 4-0 Mets.
Fox Saturday Baseball is brought to you by Zocor. Talk to your doctor about Zocor today. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, we keep America running. By Honda, the company that defines performance in motorcycles, ATVs, and scooters. And by Twizzlers. Play first, eat later.
Bottom of the 8th, Mets bat. Heart of the lineup against Sterling Hitchcock, Alomar, then Piazza, then Vaughn. 4-0 Mets. Strike, ball 1, up and away. Hitchcock relieved in the 7th, got around an error by Jeter, his 7th error of the season. That's foul. The Yankees are not releasing an injury report at the moment on Roger Clemens, so it's not for a lack of effort or that we've forgotten about Clemens leaving with that injury back in the 6th inning, covering first base on a ball hit by Burnitz. Just not given any info. 1 ball, 1 strike, and Alomar grounds to Jeter. High, but out. 1 away. Like Jeter lost his footing as he planted to make that throw. 1 away. And the batter will be Piazza, who I'm sure will rest a little easier tonight, knowing and believing that a lot of this Clemens Piazza stuff is finally behind him.
And Mike has company in that regard, Joe. I think Joe Torre is relieved that a certain amount of closure has been reached. Bobby Ballantyne certainly has to feel that way.
Ball 1 from Hitchcock.
Sean Estes has gone up the scale of respect as far as Met fans, Met players are concerned. And no one was injured in the process.
2 balls, no strikes on Piazza. Borderline pitch, 2-1.
I guess when you think about Estes throwing at Clemens, he threw at an area, it's not a dangerous area, the upper thigh, and he threw it behind the hitter, and that's usually when you hit a hitter because the first instinct is to go back in the batter's box. Roger, for whatever reason, was adept enough to hold his ground, not go back. So the point was made, both benches and managers and pitchers were warned, and that was the end of it.
A 1-out walk. Mike Piazza has owned Roger Clemens in a sense. July 9th of '99, hitting this home run at Shea. In 2000, June 9th, grand slam into center field against Clemens. And then in the 6th inning today, went down to get it and got it over the wall and left for Piazza. His 13th home run of this season, and that made him 8 out of 15 with 4 home runs lifetime against Roger Clemens. Here's Mo Vaughn, 1 on, 1 out. Hard hit, base hit in front of Spencer. It's 2 on, 1 out. And Vaughn gets his first hit. That was some solid contact that Vaughn talked about earlier in the game.
Second time up, he just missed a pitch in lifting it to right field. Mo did not miss that one. He hammers this ball to right.
The New York Mets and their fans have to hope that a weekend series with the Yankees will gets them going this season.
I thought about that earlier, yeah.
And maybe that's reaching, but if you're the Mets, you have to hope that that's what happened. You can go back 3 years ago in '99. They call it the Saturday Night Massacre around here, when after a Saturday afternoon loss at Yankee Stadium, the Mets fired 3 coaches as Burnitz takes a strike. Their hitting coach, their pitching coach, their bullpen coach. They'd lost 8 straight going into the firing, and then after the dismissals went on to win 40 of the next 55 games. Ended up in the playoffs with 2 on, 1 out. Burnitz takes a strike. Ended up in the World Series in 2000. Trying to get back with a different looking team this year from a year ago, and right now a sub 500 team with a record of 32 and 34. But they lead 4-0 in the bottom of the 8th. 2 on, 1 out in the 0-2 to Burnitz. 1-2 with Cedeno next.
It can be a topsy-turvy season with teams escalating, rising to prominence. You think just 6 weeks ago, the Atlanta Braves, everybody was saying, the Braves aren't what they used to be. Well, they're 6.5 games in front in the National League East, in front of Florida and Montreal.
I'm not sure if the Braves are what they were, but the rest of the division is not any good right now.
Maybe Glavine and Maddox aren't what they were, but in Glavine's case, he's certainly making a strong case for it.
Burnitz flies one to center. It keeps going, and Williams can't get there. Over his head, Mo Vaughn will have to hold at second as Piazza scores, and it's 5-0 Mets. Mo Vaughn was turning circles out at second base.
It's the longest single in the history of this park. The reason I say that with a surety, you can't hit it any farther in this ballpark and have it just be a single. The deepest part of this park is 410 feet away to center field. Bernie Williams didn't break hard on the ball initially. Certainly Piazza has to hold up. He scores easily, walks home. But Mo Vaughn with that pirouette around second base as Burnitz is held to a single when it could have been a triple.
He literally turned in a circle and came back across the second base bag and couldn't do anything after that. Now base hit to right. Spencer will come up throwing, and they hold Vaughn at third. Bases loaded on the second hit of the day by Roger Cedeno. That'll bring in Ordonez.
Shortstop, number 10, Ray Ordonez.
Steve Horn, our guy who is back with us after missing a couple of weeks because of an illness, points out that Robin Ventura's Grand Slam single was the longest single in this ballpark. Maybe I should have qualified that and said the longest single that has not been over the fence.
Regular season.
Or regular season, I could say that, yeah.
Joe Torre is going to go to his bullpen. Pitching change here in the 8th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out. The Mets already up 5-0. There's the situation for the new pitcher Mike Thurman. We flash back. Game 5 of the '99 NLCS. And there is your Grand Slam single. Cedeno, who was with the Mets then, just singled to K.O. Hitchcock. And it was runners passing runners, and it was mayhem on the bases. As Ordonez goes into left center field, that ball's not going to be caught. It gets down and goes to the wall. All 3 runs are going to score. McEwing, Burnitz, Cedeno. It's a triple, and it's 8-0 Mets.
Ray Ordonez had 21 RBIs coming into this game. 24 now.
First triple of the season for Ordonez. He's at third. By the way, McEwing was pinch running. We can get a chance to set that as Ordonez went up there, and after the first pitch, he was running for Mo Vaughn. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're just talking about runners passing runners. Cedeno almost passed Burnitz on that last triple.
Well, that's a bad feeling, I want to tell you.
Here's a 1-1. Guthrie against the new pitcher Mike Thurman, the former Montreal Expo right-hander.
July the 4th will be my 26th anniversary of my doing so in Pittsburgh.
Guthrie grounds to first. Giambi holds the runner. 2 out. Now you say that like I'm going to jump on you for it. I really don't know much about it.
No, I did. The bases loaded, and I thought Larry Demery. Gary Maddox was walked by Danny Murtaugh in front of me, and I hit what was to be my first home run of the season, and I passed Gary Maddox at first base, and I was credited. I didn't even know the rule. I was credited with a Grand Slam single, same as Robin Ventura, only I was the culprit, not Todd Pratt.
Here's Perez. He takes a ball outside.
That's not a good feeling, I want to tell you.
What part of the game was it?
Second inning.
Oh.
Yeah.
Things are starting to come together for you. That's explaining a lot to me. Perez needs a new bat as that thing was shattered.
You go back to the dugout when something like that happens, and guys, you know, you didn't pop up, you didn't strike out, you didn't ground into a fielder's choice, and guys come over and they don't know whether to shake your hand or they didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. We fortunately won the game 10-5 behind Steve Carlton. And it was 6-0 in the third, and the Pirates scored 5 in the third, and I knew I was going to be the GOAT of the game, but justice prevailed.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Perez, who today is 1 out of 4. By the way, the word on Roger Clemens, he left in the 6th inning with a bruised right foot. Two balls, 2 strikes. Crowd starts to thin out a little bit, but many remain watching a 2-2 pitch head into Perez, and the inning is over. So Thurman comes in and gives up a 3-run triple. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver with you. Tim, the former catcher. Those were the days, Tim. A couple of noses ago. Jorge Posada leads off and goes after the first pitch and pops it into left center field. Who wants it? Timo Perez. 1 out. With 2 home runs hit today, $54,000 has been raised for prostate cancer research. Thanks for helping keep Dad in the game. They had that promo that Joe Torre and Dusty Baker did before the game last weekend at Yankee Stadium. Both are prostate cancer survivors, and it was well done. And we thank all of you for your support. Here's Rondell White. He takes a pitch low and away, ball 1. The word on Clemens is a bruised right foot. We told you that. McEwing stays in the game after pinch running for Mo Vaughn. He's at first. What we're now told is that it's a bruised right foot that Clemens injured on the double that he hit back in the top of the 6th. And then he had to leave in the bottom of the 6th. Good pitch from Guthrie. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Here was a double inside the line. You remember, this was the touch of first base was appealed by Bobby Ballantyne and the Mets. Roger, an easy double, his 2nd career double.
Tough play, and we'll see how they call that. That could go either way. Hit or an error. If it's an error, and it is, it's number 13 on Ray Ordonez. E6.
That's a tough error.
I agree.
Even though had Ordonez come up with it, he probably gets white, but you can't say with any degree of certainty. Off the heel of the glove, but it has been a rough year for the Mets shortstop.
Ordonez 13 errors, Alfonso 8, Alomar 4, Vaughn 4, Piazza 5. As a team, 61 for the Mets. Everybody's up there, first pitch swinging, strike 1. That was supposed to be one of their strong suits.
Sure.
Was the defense, especially on the infield and up the middle with Alomar and Ordonez. People drooled over the highlight possibilities, and they can't catch the ball. That might be, could be. It is a double play. And a 5-4-3 game ender turned by Alfonso Alomar. And it was Joe McEwing with a dig out of the dirt on the back end of it. The Mets win it, a final of 8-0 here today over the New York Yankees. Everybody came in talking about Clemens finally having to hit. Estes tried to hit him in the 3rd inning, threw behind him, missed him. Mike Piazza hits a home run off Clemens today, as does Sean Estes. And Estes turned in a gem for his New York Mets. Here is our great feat of the game, brought to you by new Lotrimin Ultra, the only once-a-day cure for athlete's foot. The throw behind Clemens. Little smile back out at Estes. Both benches were warned. And then Estes It's a 2-run home run off Clemens in the bottom of the 5th.
And if Mets fans thought that there was a loss of dignity over the last 2 years, it was restored by a guy who wasn't even with the Mets 2 years ago.
Sean Estes took a huge leap forward, a big step in his short career with the Mets, short as of how long it's been, but who knows how long he will last. He took a big jump forward today in the eyes of these fans here at Shea and of his teammates in the clubhouse. So the Mets win at a final of 8-0. At the moment, they're 7 out behind Atlanta, and they're only 1 game under the 500 mark at 33-34. The Yankees lose it. They're a game behind Boston at the moment, and we will say so long. A final of 8-0. The Mets win it today over the New York Yankees. So a lot of talk, a lot of hype coming into this game. We were happy to bring it to you, and happy that as this game unfolded, as Tim said, the message was sent. No one leaves injured except Clemens later doubling and injuring his right foot. And it was the pitching of Sean Estes instead of the beanball from Sean Estes, and even the home run from Sean Estes, that people will talk about coming out of this game. For Tim, I'm Joe. For the latest information on Major League Baseball, go to foxsports.com. Jeannie Zelasco and Kevin Kennedy will be along in the Fox Television Center with some final thoughts after these words. From all of us in Queens at Shea, 8-0 Mets. So long.